Hello people, this is Wonderful Heaven Farm. My name is Priscilla Nyairia and our apples are now 6 months. So let us take the necessary care that we should be doing to our apples. The first thing that you should do is now you need to apply manure. Even if you applied at 3 months, at 6 months you need to apply another manure. And today I want to demonstrate on how to apply your manure. So what you do, in my previous video, I asked you not to apply manure to the way that it will touch your stem. So what you will do here while applying manure, you need to apply it here at this position. Here, you dig like a basin. I'm looking for my basin now. All around the plant. That is the basin. I'm trying to come up with it, and my basin is somehow ready. You see, I don't apply here direct to the stem because it might burn my apple. Then, after that, I just applied my manure here at my basin. Here. Even if I will give more manure than my plant needs, it will not affect it because I've just used the basin method. That is how you apply your manure. I wanted to demonstrate on that. The other thing you need to do is to mix this manure well with the soil. Let's mix it. You make sure that your manure mixes well with the soil. Although even if you don't mix it well, using the basin, it will mix well watering it. That is how we apply our manure. I understand that most of you don't know how to apply manure on apples. This is how we do it. After mixing, what you will now do is to do mulching. You see now, these are the stalks of the maize that I had planted here. So you will do mulching. For those who have little water, it will help you to reduce the rate at which your soil is losing the water. That is reducing the rate of evaporation. If you have more of these grasses, you can fill it to the maximum. And also, they will add more minerals to your soil because they will decompose. Your mulching must be made of plants that will decompose, waste plants that decompose. Yes, you can see last time we were tipping at this position. This is where we did our tipping at 4 months. And you can see now after 2 months, while tipping, this plant had only one main stem and it was not having the other branches. So after tipping, you can see it has gained all these branches because now the energy that was used to grow is taller. It has concentrated on the stem to produce more branches. That's why tipping is very good for the apples at 4 months, and the effects are here. The other thing to do at these 6 months, as she continues adding more manure, is to make sure you are removing anything below the grafted area. That is what we call the suckers. You can see my grafted plant is this one here. This part is the one that is grafted. Even the leaves are different from the one that is not grafted. because I've just left it without removing it, it is now taking all the energy to grow. You can imagine now this one is a waste. And what I actually need my Wambugu apple is this one. Now, what I will do, I will remove my unnecessary plant and leave the necessary one to continue growing. Be very careful when cutting from the roots, not to cut the plant that you actually need. That is the Wambugu apple. I will remove all this. You see, my plant was grafted here. As you have seen, the wound is here. So anything that grows below this area, it should be removed. And especially between these 9 months before it starts fruiting. So when I leave that one, it will now grow very fast because the energy is not competing with other plants. You see now this one was very healthy, making my plant not to grow faster. That is the other tip. I saw another farmer who has just done Wambugu apple for 3 years, and the farmer is claiming that the plant is not producing fruits. And it's because he did not remove this one. You can imagine after 3 years, this plant was bigger than the Wambugu apple. That is, the root stock was bigger than the Wambugu apples, and it was not bearing fruits. So removing anything below, or the suckers below the grafted area, is very essential when this plant is below 1 year. If you don't remove it, it will not bear Wambugu apple. It will bear something else, and it can even take 10 years or even 20 years. You might be shocked why I have another big plant here other than the other ones, and I'm saying that my farm is 6 months. What actually happened to this plant is that I had planted it somewhere else, and I saw it is not good to stay there after I had planted it for 2 years. So what I did, I uprooted my plant. First what you do is you remove all the leaves of the plant you want to transfer to a different place. After removing the leaves, make sure you uproot it, having some soil on the roots, and then you will transfer it to another place. That is how good Wambugu apple is, and it will not die, it will still continue growing. That's why in this farm I have some other plants which are bigger than these ones, which are actually 6 months. I transferred them from my previous place where I had planted it, and so that it was not good there, or the space was not enough for this. So I just transferred it to another plant. It is very easy to transfer even a mature Wambugu apple from one place to the other one. If you transfer your Wambugu apple, your plant, without removing the leaves, it might die, because remember, you have shocked the roots. So if you don't remove the weeds, it will continue with that shock, and it will continue losing a lot of water. So removing the leaves, it will make it to reduce, only to use the water for growth. So if you remove the leaves, you are helping it to maintain the water that it has to grow, and also reducing it not to lose more water, because you have already shocked it from the roots. Now the other thing you need to do at your 6 months or 7, now at this 3rd trimester of your Wambugu apples, you need to ensure that your farm is clean from the weeds. Like mine here, you can see we have removed all the weeds from this part of the farm, and we are continuing removing all the weeds to the other part. So, and while digging, you need to ensure that you are removing the weeds up to this level using your jembe, and don't make sure the jembe is not coming up to this level, up to the place where you have planted your apples. I mean this part. Don't put your jembe here, it might uproot your apple at this stage. So make sure you are removing the weeds as you are continuing to pluck them, some which are here inside the plant. You just pluck them, because if you try to put your jembe inside, you might even destroy your plant. So that is how you do your weeding, and it is very good if you do weeding as you make your basin. It will be very easy, other than weeding and then coming back to make your basins. Now you can see we use button drip irrigation. This is how the button drip irrigation works, and in this button drip irrigation, the drip is put at the specific place where the plant is. So that's why it's very good for Wambugu apple farming. And the other advantage of doing it is the same irrigation system that I'm using to water my cabbages. You have seen now my crop, my cover crop is cabbages. And what the cabbages is now helping me here, it is helping to take the excess water that I might give to my Wambugu apple. My borehole is giving me a lot of water, so I might end up giving my plants excess water than it is supposed. So that's why I still have the cabbages in my farm to help it take the excess water that my apples require. Because you see there were weeds here. These weeds might have carried some pests, and your plants is now big enough to accommodate some pests. So you can see like this plant of mine here, it has some aphids. And to check if your plant has some pests, you always check on the flesh shoots. These are the flesh shoots, the shoot at the top. You can see these are the aphids. So at this stage, the best pesticide we use organic pesticide if you have the ready one, or you may also use the rabbit urine mixed with these weeds. You see all these weeds here, they can make very good pesticide, especially those which smell so bad, like that one which is there. I'm going to show when I get there. So to check whether your plant has weeds, you check on the lower part of the leaf. You see, this is where you check whether your plant, they don't stay on the upper part because the sun will burn at this particular part, but they always hide on the lower part because it is very fresh, and also pest will not, the sun will not come and burn them here. They like somewhere that they have the shadow. So check your plant whether they have pests, and if they have the pests, you see the pests are the one which bring the diseases, because this pest is sucking water from my leaves. So this water will have very little, this plant will have very little water than it should have, then encouraging a lot of pests and diseases, a lot of diseases into it. So if you just see this kind of pests, spray your pesticide, that is the organic pesticide, to kill them. This is the plant that we always make. In our mother tongue here, our central region or mountain region, we call it mefagi. This is the weed we use. It smells very bad, and that is the smell that kills some pests like the aphids. So we use this. We also use tobacco and chili. If you mix those three plants or three raw materials, they come up with a very good pesticide. Then you add rabbit urine in that one to boost your pesticide. So that is what we are using as the pesticide. We already sprayed our plant, the pesticide. That's why you are seeing most of them are clean. It's only few which are having the pests. If you feel like after the tipping you did at 4 months, your branches are not as big as you want your plant to be more bushy. You can see some of my plants are starting to be bushy. If this one will now, you come back here after 6 months, or now this plant will be 1 year, it will be a very big bush. But I feel like this one here, it will not be like this one, like my previous plant. So what I will do, I will still tip the branches that I only had to tip this one because it was the only branch by then. So now let me tip this one. What will happen it is that these branches which are already moving here, they will have more energy and they will go very fast. And some other, you can see here we have a branch. This is a bud of a branch that is showing here. It will be already a branch. So even at this stage, you can as well tip your plant to encourage more branches for it to be more bush and But the reason as to why we love a plant that has more branches is because the more the branches, the more the fruit. A plant that has more branches will be having the energy to carry more weight. So that's why we encourage your plant to be more big, and that's how you will be having more fruits. And more fruit means you'll be having more money, and because you are doing this one for an investment. You can see for this one, it has some fruits here, and it is only 6 months. So that means that Wambugu apple actually produces flowers even after 3 months of transplanting, but it is very few flowers. The one we call for production is the one that it produces after 9 months. So that's why we tell people it fruits at 9 months, but it actually fruits even before, but very few. 2 for a plant is not fruits. We need something like 50 or even 100, because that's what it produces after 9 months. Also at this stage, don't stop applying your vegetative foliar and also the fungicide and the pesticide if by any chance you have the pests in your farm. So spray the vegetative foliar that I've talked about in my previous video, and also the fungicides. They will help it to boost it for the 3 months. After it gets to 9 months, you will not continue to spray those pests, the fungicide or whatever the pesticide or even the vegetative foliar. So continue spraying the vegetative foliar, the fungicide and pesticide if by any chance you have the pests and diseases. Thank you very much for taking care of this Wambugu apple up to the last trimester. Now at 9 months we are expecting fruits and our child is now born. We go to markets. We cannot end this video without tasting our Wambugu apple. I just took the smallest one and it is very sweet. You need this in your farms. Wow. Wow. Look at this.